Well, good morning, everybody. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order, 9 o'clock. First item on the agenda, introductions. I know Susie Taylor with the LCO PD here is new with us, representing LCO PD today. Do you want to introduce yourself?
So my name is McAllister Crowe. I'm the new regional program manager with Fox. So I'm here to help with all your guys' traffic safety grants here on out.
Thanks for being here with us. If you want to join me, we'll stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll review our last quarterly meeting minutes. Called the meeting at 9 a.m. on August 28th. We had a couple guests, Joan Cervenka and Carolyn Perry, who we'll talk about later in the minutes. We approved the minutes from the meeting before. There was no old business, no new business. Dan Contos with BOTS talked about statewide crashes and data regarding them, and the Sawyer County crashes and data regarding our local crashes. We reviewed the 2 traffic fatalities in more detail that occurred on August 21st and June 21st, or I'm sorry, April 21st and June 21st. We reviewed statistics regarding the crashes and other factors. Dan talked about upcoming traffic safety campaigns for the third quarter and upcoming driver safety campaigns for the fourth quarter. Talked about the 19th annual Badger Tracks User Conference for October. Talked about community mapping offering virtual office hours, and the Federal Highway Administration creating a repository for the federal, state, county, and local level partners. Recent Wisconsin DOT updates on state highway and talked about what that included. We then went on to roundtable report outs. Olson talked about the schools being near completion for construction and some walkways being extended, enhancing parent, community, and student safety. Lieutenant Rip talked about the city and town being involved with us on our traffic enforcement grant, and then talked about complaints on the old Quick Trip with motorists cutting through there, avoiding the stoplights. Chief Kosterman talked about road construction on Linden Road. Sergeant AB talked about the with us being down a trooper, we may not receive another trooper till 2025 or 2026. But there would be staff available as we needed them. Perry and Cervenka talked about safety concerns in front of the old Park Theater. We later had discussion about that on ways to enhance and work with them on safety. Commissioner Pino talked about paving on County C and D for September, and County Highway Trunk C bridge being scheduled to be completed on December 6th. And then talked about completing a survey there, and also talked about ATV, UTV routes being closed in the ditch there on County Trunk B by Jump River Electric, and that traffic being diverted to the County Highway B itself. Chief Savinsky talked about numerous events, parades, and that it was a pretty good summer safety-wise. Aaron Chris talked about the State Highway 70 Log Creek project completion date scheduled for the end of September. And concerns about traffic speed in general is becoming an issue, as well as vehicles illegally passing in no passing zones. Also talked about the State Highway 40 project south of Radisson is scheduled for 2026. Public Works Director McHugh talked about the project on Second Street behind Quick Trip being delayed due to weather conditions, scheduled to be done by the 15th of September. And Sergeant Sams talked about finishing up their BIA traffic grant and are in the process of reapplying it, or did reapply for the grant, and waiting to see if it is going to be awarded. Chief Deputy Sedera talked about gearing up for the Trout Fest and the Cranberry Fest. And I just had further follow-up discussion at the end of the meeting about the safety concerns with Perry and Cervenka. Meeting was adjourned at 10:08. I entertain a motion to approve the minutes if there's no additions, deletions, or corrections needed.
I'll second that motion.
Who was the motion by?
Motion, right?
No, entertained a motion.
I will make that motion.
Motion by Savitsky, second by Lieutenant Rip. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We have no items of old business, no items of new business. So with that, we will move on to traffic crash data mapping.
Well, we are now officially past the halfway point for the fourth quarter for the year. So we're going to go back and take a look at third quarter data and see how things are tracking along with us. Statewide, from the big picture, from January 1st through the 30th of September, you can see 89,500 and change total crashes reported into DOT on our state's highways. That is a little bit of a drop from the two previous years. And as the crashes drop, you would expect, excuse me, to see a corresponding drop in reported injuries, which there were as well. So that's good. Less than 24,500. Fatalities, 425 reported in by the 30th of September. That's always kind of a fluctuating number until a little bit later on in the year. Right now, as of this morning, we're at 496 fatalities reported in. So with a little bit of good graces, we can come in below that 5-year average of 578. So we're on track to do that. Looking countywide for, again, the same first 3 quarters of the year, you can see the numbers for 2024, 263 reportable crashes, 62 injuries, and 3 fatalities. You can also see the previous 5 years worth of data for first through third quarter. So those are all comparable numbers. And then an average of the 2023 through 2019 numbers at the bottom. So we are above average this year in our number of crashes we have across the county. Fortunately, the injuries did not go up with that. Correspondingly, we are about at our historical numbers for first through third quarter. And we are also right about where we would expect to be as far as fatalities go. We did have a third quarter fatality that was not discussed last time around, and we can talk about that, Sheriff, whenever you would like to do that. But those 3 fatalities right now give us a fatality rate of 0.98%, so just about 1%, which is about what we see with the Northwest region. Statewide, we run at about 0.5% for first and third quarter. Northwest region's always higher than that, just because of the nature of the roadways and the speed that are on a lot of those. We've got traffic versing across the region. So we are about what we would expect to see for the rest of the Northwest region. Some of our neighboring counties are not as fortunate. 3 and 4 times as high as the state average. So while 3 fatalities is a shame, it is better than some of our neighbors are doing. Taking a look at the distribution of the crashes, this is just for the third quarter. So what you see is a comparison of 2024's third quarter numbers in dark blue. So we had 88 total crashes in the third quarter across the entire county, reported into DOT. The light blue numbers are the average of the previous 5 years. So we're taking a near historical average and comparing it to how we're doing as far as contemporary times go. So we are right about where we would expect to see. We did come in a couple crashes higher, but that's not a lot. On the right-hand side, you can see the percentage change from 2024 to the previous 5 years. Property damage only crashes right on track. The rest of them all the way down are pretty much where we would expect them to be. The smaller numbers do generate those bigger percentage changes though, but historically we're right about where third quarters are for us, for better or for worse. Looking at some of the driving behaviors out there and the driver's flags, older drivers are up noticeably for us. So almost a 40% increase in third quarter crashes for older drivers. And the rest of those numbers are about where we would expect to see. So that's really the noticeable change is with those 65 and older drivers. And we do have in December Older Driver Awareness Week coming up. So it might be a good opportunity for us to piggyback on top of that and try to get those numbers back down. Looking at some of the non-Class D vehicles that are out there, no bicycle or pedestrian crashes in the third quarter, which is good. Motorcyclists, even though that looks like it's a big jump, is just a couple more than what we typically see in the third quarter. And commercial motor vehicles, pretty steady. Looking at some of the other crash flags for us, the single unit lane departure crashes are the number one nature of crash. That has always been the case for us, and as in most of the counties in the Northwest. But there is a bit of a jump as far as those go, followed by intersection crashes and the multiple unit lane departure crashes, historically about where we would expect them to be. Occupant protection did go down for us a little bit. 61% decrease in occupant protection for crashes during the third quarter. We know that has a tendency to drive up injuries, so that's always a good area to try to work on. Statewide, we just completed a seatbelt survey for the entire state in September, and we're running just over 88%, like 88.1 or 88.2, I forget which one, which is, again, a decrease statewide, so that's an area that we can all work on. And no work zone crashes, so that is also good to see. As far as safety messaging and marketing that's coming up, we are in the middle of National Crash Responder Safety Week, so lots of opportunities to engage the public in trying to get them to be more aware when they're driving through roadside emergency scenes, passing by emergency vehicles, towing and recovery, those kind of folks. So this is the week for that. If you remember, we were going to start up the week before Halloween with safety messaging and marketing efforts for impaired driving. That did kick off just before Halloween, and it will run through March of 2025 through St. Patrick's Day. So you will see during the holiday season back-to-back messaging on impaired driving. Again, DOT is doing a 2-track approach, one with alcohol and the other one with other than alcohol. So if you feel different, you drive different campaign, for example, targets those folks that are on the highways without just alcohol in their system. It's interesting that since the lab of hygiene and the crime labs stopped testing, just because of manpower, they stopped testing when they get a blood sample and that sample comes back over the legal limit for alcohol. They don't do the drug panel unless it's specifically requested. BOTS went in and did a little pilot experiment and funded 100 test samples that were alcohol only, and they came back with about 66% of them had something other than just alcohol on there. So that's an important campaign to try to continue to push. December 2nd, Older Driver Safety Awareness Week, as I had mentioned. There are also a couple of national law enforcement high visibility campaigns that are happening in the fourth quarter. Looking forward into the first quarter, You can see those impaired driving campaigns that go through New Year's, past the Super Bowl, all the way to St. Patrick's Day. And as we call them, cool kids call them leaks. They're the law enforcement action kits. It is the public announcements, the pre-written articles, the social media posts, and all of that are found on DOT's websites. I included that link with my slides. Those are all available for everyone. So if we want to tack on to any of the efforts that are going on out there, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Those materials are available for everyone to use. So they are out there, plus the traditional ones at traffic safety marketing from the Federal Highway Administration. The 2025 drug recognition expert classes have been announced. We will be sponsoring 2 classes next year. There'll be a spring class that starts in April and a fall class that starts just before the start of October. Just 2 of them this year. This year we had 4 classes. We were able to secure funding for 2 of them. And once again, BOTS will be able to pay for the officers to attend. So we can pay for wages, travel, lodging, meals, and all of their equipment that they get while they're at school. So while most of those are a reimbursement, we will cover those. The only thing we can't cover are back wages. So if we need to backfill a spot in the schedule, we can't cover those, but we can cover the rest of that. So Steve Kretschy is once again the point of contact, the state DRE coordinator. Feel free to message him for more information or to get an application. If you can afford to send someone to DRE school, that's a good opportunity. The sheriff had mentioned, we talked last time about the Community Maps virtual office hours. We're continuing on with that. We just had one with about 20 folks on board. So don't forget about that. If you are interested in Community Maps, want to learn a little bit more, we are going to continue to do that. That's a very informal online Zoom meeting for an hour where you can just ask questions or see what the latest and greatest is. We have had some requests as of late to maybe start off with what's new in Community Maps, at least in the last month or the last quarter, because there are a number of changes that are happening almost on a monthly basis. So feel free to jump on there and join us during lunch and the second Monday of each month. Speaking of Community Maps, we have added a feature that a lot of people don't know about yet, and those are the training videos. These are 10-minute or less videos on different things that have to do with crashes, data quality, and those kind of things, different flags for officers to use. They are all open for anyone to use on Community Maps under the training and help tab. We've got 6 of them posted there so far. Some agencies are actually using them as part of their field training program to kind of brush up on crash narratives and that kind of thing. Others are saying that they may use them for continuing education purposes. So those are all there. If there's a specific topic that you would like us to take a look at and develop a video for, feel free to let me know and I will get that passed on. I have a save the date for you for the Governor's Conference on Highway Safety. This is August 19th and 20th of next year. I know it's August of next year. It's a little bit down the road, but we want you to block that out so you don't plan your Jamaican excursion during the Governor's Conference, because I know you'd much rather be in the Dells with me than in Jamaica with somebody else. But the 19th and 20th, as soon as we get the agenda developed, obviously we'll get that out. We are still planning on having the August 18th pre-training day, the free attendance day, where we have specialty meetings and specialty classes like WISE grants. And I think we're doing a traffic incident management trainer that day as well. So mark that off in your calendar. Once again, at the Kalahari down in Wisconsin Dells. Every quarter, we bring you an educational piece. This one comes from our colleagues in the Traffic Incident Management Enhancement Program, or the TIME program. They are the ones that are responsible for implementing the TIM classes across the state. And for those who aren't familiar with TIM, Traffic Incident Management, it is the methodology that we deploy emergency responders on the highway so that they can protect themselves from being involved in secondary crashes and to better get the motoring public past our emergency scenes on the side of the roadway. I talked about Crash Responder Safety Week being this week. This is the everyday application of that. This is a national program. that started with the Federal Highway Administration in 2009. We actually started the statewide in Wisconsin in 2006, and the feds stole our program and made their own, which is good because turnabout is fair play. We are actually taking their program that they have just redone, and we're stealing it back. So for those of you who are familiar with traffic incident management, you'll see a new class is coming out. It's the same information, it's just packaged a little bit differently. I think they do a little bit nicer job. It's a chance for us to kind of refresh that. So the Wisconsin version should be out by the end of the year. We will see how that goes. And one of the other things that the folks at the Time ETO program wanted us to pass along were one of the lesser known laws in the state of Wisconsin that affect drivers. In 1998, it's hard to believe it was that long ago, the legislature passed Act 258, which affected a number of different things regarding traffic crashes and the way they were reported. One of which was to implement something that we call in the state steer it, clear it, which requires drivers to move their vehicles off of the roadway if they're involved in a minor crash and there are no injuries out there. So obviously it makes it safer for them, makes it safer for the motoring public, and the responders, especially law enforcement, don't have to go running out to the scene lights and siren because there's traffic blockage. They can respond in a safer fashion. And Steer It Clear It is a good program, a good step forward. And the best line of defense for us are those dispatchers who are taking those 911 calls and encouraging those drivers to move their vehicles out of the lane of traffic. So the folks at the Time program wanted us to pass that along. If you have never attended one of their quarterly meetings, this quarter, we're getting near the end of the series of meetings. There is one for the Southeast region. You don't have to be from the Southeast region to attend. It's just that if they do any after action reviews, it'll be from that area. There is one left on the 21st at 9 a.m. Otherwise, on the Time program website, there's more information about those regional meetings. And they're all online. And as always, I leave our contact information at the Bureau. And very happy to have McAllister come up with us now. I know I've been promising for a little while that we were going to get that spot filled, so we'd have a regional program manager in the north half of the state, and now we have one in the flesh. We had to bring him up here in person just so you didn't think I was telling you a tall tale. So McAllister is now on board, and glad he was able to make it. And as always, my contact info, if there's something I can do for you, feel free to reach out and let me know. More than happy to help any way I can. It's kind of why I'm here. And pending any questions, Sheriff, that's what I have for you this time around.
Why don't you go ahead and bring up that third quarter traffic fatality?
Yes, sir. We are looking at this is a crash that happened on 9/27 at 8:37 in the morning. I'm not professing to be an expert on this, but it was a single vehicle crash. Motorcycle went off of the roadway. Looked like they just lost control and went off the edge of the road. It was not a witness crash. Alcohol was suspected of being on board, and as of at least what I see, it has not been updated. So I don't know if any results have come back. It looks like it's a little bit early.
Yeah, I don't.
Also took a look at, this was on Phipps Road near Porky's Road. That's an interesting intersection. Took a look in the area. There's no real crash history anywhere near that. So it just looks like it was an anomalous crash. Someone who maybe was imbibing and just took his cycle off the road, crashed.
I believe leaving an establishment nearby, and probably the corner was a contributing factor.
That's been known to happen.
Did you want to add anything, Lieutenant Rip? Okay. Thanks, Dan. Any questions for Dan? Hearing none, we'll move on to the roundtable. Chief, you want to start off? Okay. What was the question? Okay. Jeff?
I was asked to bring up concern down by G2 gas station there. There's been close to, or I don't know how many accidents there's been there, but if you're coming north, you got the driveway to turn into G2, and then you got the second driveway. Well, a lot of people go on on the right side, they think they're gonna pass somebody, and then they go to the next driveway. People are slamming on their brakes, and I've almost been in an accident there even. And if you're coming south, people put on their turn signal to turn right, and you might be pulling in the gas station instead of going all the way to 70 there. It's just, it's a bad intersection. So I was asked by somebody else to bring that up also. Well, if there's anything we can do about it or change.
It's right by DJ's Mart, the old G2 by 2770. I know this has been on discussion in some former traffic safety meetings. I know the chief brought it up as well, and he travels that route daily, twice a day, and he's witnessed some close calls, and that right turning lane heading north on 27 there. You know, the state probably doesn't fit the criteria of extending it, but that would be very helpful for that second driveway. I think the business will definitely not want to close the north driveway there because that's the primary access to the pumps there. So it is a congested area with concern and safety factors. There's a lot of entrances and exits out of there, as well as 70 splitting off there at the intersection. Then on top of it, you have that 90-degree swooping turn there. So everything adds to the concern, which also reduces the visibility on the corner. So, and the speed limit's 55 through there. That's a good point. And maybe that's, yes, and maybe that's another point where maybe a reduction in speed would be a enhanced safety factor, but I do think that does need some attention. Thanks, Jeff.
Just a couple things. We picked up 2 grants we were awarded for our bots deployment again. We have a speed and a seatbelt enforcement grant for fiscal year starting now until 2025. Working out the traffic plan for that, or the deployment plan for that. It's not, together they equate to about $19,000, $20,000 for enforcement on overtime reimbursements. So we had a very successful campaign this past year, as we talked about in the last meeting. We concluded, and our joint deployments with the town and city led to about 611 contacts, of which primarily our citations were focused on speed that we were able to get. And of all those contacts, we only really had 6 individuals that were cited for seatbelts. So I think that's actually a good thing, because that information's out there that seatbelt safety is important. So we're looking for similar numbers here coming up for the next year, and hopefully we can be working together again with our new RPM and get some stuff done.
Thanks, Lieutenant. Officer Taylor?
We received the BIA grant again for this year until end of 2025. Pays for overtime for traffic enforcement and safety on the reservation, focusing on OWI, speed, and seatbelt.
So how many hours is that a year? Or how many officers does that entail, or is that kind of unknown?
I think it's just an amount in the budget. I
Okay.
think that's what limits us is the budget.
Okay, thanks. Chief?
With what Jeff was talking about at that intersection, they rezoned a piece of property on Sand Lake off of Rendezvous Road. So right, if you're going 70 from Stone Lake, that last driveway, just west of 27 is Rendezvous, and they're gonna have a tiki bar and restaurant there too to add one more business to that intersection. So there was a lot of complaints on that when they approved it because it's just a dirt road coming off and a driveway coming off that road. So they're all worried about more traffic at that intersection. Besides that, what was that?
So that new driveway is coming off of Rendezvous, or is that coming off of Southern? For that TV one?
It's coming off a Rendezvous. Other than that, the city, they're pushing one last big month of sales for the city of Hayward's businesses downtown. Bid District is pushing it. So they're leaving all the merchants open till 6 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays. So I'm wondering about probably traffic influx there. But on November 30th, we are shutting down Main Street at 63 and the entrance from 63 to the entrance of the vet center, because the veteran center has a Christmas tree where that well or that fountain's at. They put a sleeve in the middle of the median or whatever there. They put like a 20-foot tree there, I guess. And so they're gonna have a cord on Main Street. They're gonna put some plastic covering over the cord, then light the Christmas tree, I guess, at 5:30 on November 30th. So we're gonna have that shut down. December 7th, we have our last parade of the year, the Christmas parade. One more parade. And that's at 6 p.m. So I don't know what kind of deputies we have or whoever else we have for the city. It's gonna come out of the intermediate school, like always, and go past the sheriff's office down Main Street the wrong way. Second, Kansas, and then they all come back around and park their floats. I can do that. Few of us. It's a Saturday, so
I'll be the point of contact.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll see what I can get together.
I do think
You know.
that day we are kind of shorthanded though. I think it might just be me and another patrol guy. Yeah.
We'll have barriers and stuff from Public Works again, like always, but we'll have to flip those barriers. Public Works isn't coming out that day for us, so it'll just be law enforcement. I know you had 2 deputies in there last year. Yeah, it's simple, it's quick.
Yeah, we get to go.
And 2 in the parade. Jay and Jordan.
Jay and Jordan, because I remember Jay had the Grinch sitting in his passenger seat and they're playing Christmas music over the loudspeaker.
Typical deputies. So then on Second Street, the Second Street project is done from John McHugh. And with that, they put markers at 63 and Minnesota. So when you're leaving Quick Trip for the left-hand lane, turning lane, and the right-hand incoming with traffic. So that's kind of nice. Otherwise, I think that's it for the city of Hayward updates on anything traffic related.
And I'll just add, just so everybody's aware, Chief Sabinsky wears several hats and he's on our county board. So that's why he's familiar with the zoning issues and things at the county board level as well. Assistant Chief?
I have nothing more to add.
Okay, I have nothing.
I don't have anything. We did have our first 2025 Berkey kickoff meeting, so that was with all law enforcement. So we're starting planning for that. Our next meeting is December 18th, which will involve more of the players in the Berkey. So that's what we're working on there.
Commissioner?
Just a few things. First, I wanted to bring up that Highway Department, we have installed cameras throughout the county right now. We currently have 5 installed throughout the county, covering each end of the county. I talked to you about that a little bit. And then also LCO is installing the flat cameras right now as we speak. I didn't know they were going up yet because the permit wasn't good till the 22nd, but I see one up on B already. So anyway, just let you guys know one's gonna be on County Road B by Subway. That one's already up. I'm not sure about the one. There's one in Northwoods Beach, gonna be by the boat land or the boat place there, I believe. and then one on N and E, and one on CC and N. So, so they should probably, I'm guessing, be up in the next, rest of them in a day or two. So those will be up along with our county, cameras, and then also the Sea Bridge is complete. And I have let everybody know that the detour route for the ATV UTV from Devils Lake Road down to Cooteray is now closed. So there shouldn't be any ATV UTVs on that section of road. They should be using Smith and Cross C now. The only other thing, I had was still the issue down, we think we talk about it quite a bit, Round Lake by the dock. The speeding through there, we have repainted lines and installed fluorescent markers on the speed limit signs down there and still receiving complaints of people speeding. I'm sure you are too, so that's all I got.
Thank you. I just want to add a little bit to the flock cameras there. We're going to add 4, one in Winter, 2 in Radisson, and 1 on 27 South coming into the county line there. We're hopeful that the city puts up a couple in the city to cover the north end there. And I know the town has been involved here and we've had some unified front meetings with the law enforcement agencies in Sawyer, as well as Washburn and Burnett. And the nice thing about the flock cameras, as we all know, is once we have them, we can get on there and monitor all of them in the state. And it's a great benefit for all of us. So we're hoping we're able to maintain a unified front with all of us here and better serve. Those cameras oftentimes are about as equal to as a cop on the street 24/7 there at those intersections, and what they're able to record for data and otherwise is unbelievable. Sergeant.
Nothing to add.
Any graduates from current academies?
No, we're hiring right now and.
That's a long no.
No, I don't know. The next class doesn't start till July. They're graduating November, may or may not be a spot for Sawyer. For our lateral, we do have openings in Ashland and Taylor. So if we get someone in Ashland, they'll be able to hopefully be up in the area too, so that's all.
You know how many graduates?
Between our traditional and lateral class, they're hoping to get 50 total between the
Good.
two, so they'll both graduate the same day. So that's pretty much it, so.
Good.
Transfers for up here, if they wouldn't open probably until class starts in July, so probably not till August. So you're still looking about a year out, potentially for getting someone up here, if they open a spot.
Thank you. Aaron.
Yeah, I'm Aaron Chris, Wisconsin Department of Transportation. A few things. One is, one thing that's coming in is for speed studies. If it's our highway, we're doing the work on it. Okay, so I'm setting up my equipment or I'm determining roadway characteristics, whatever I need to do to determine if something should be done or not. Okay, we just had an incident where I actually asked one of the counties to actually go out, kind of patrol a little bit, just because the person was kind of overbearing on seeing the light on why we weren't going to do something, and I wanted him to go out there just to monitor it himself as well. It worked out awesome. They tried to call my bluff, and they actually called the sheriff department to find out if that's what they were actually doing. So it worked out great. We made the point of it. We never did it. So just beware, don't be alarmed if I do call you and say, hey, could you just help me out? Because it's tough. It's really tough when you get some of these people and they just don't want to listen or understand. Next thing is for speed studies within a township, county, municipality, okay? You guys can lower the speed limit by 10 miles per hour, okay? But you have to have some sort of evidence. Try to do something, okay? Whether you think it's crash related, whether you think it's speed related, if you have something, to check the speeds, whether it's a patrol person, come up with something, because now what's coming now is they're fighting it. Okay, so now what we've been doing is we've had two incidences where we looked up this person on CCAP because we assumed it was kind of weird on why they were fighting it. They had a long list of stuff. Not saying this is always the case, but this was one of the incidences and it's in the court right now. So the speed was lowered. The county's looking at all their documentation. It's one of these instances where the speed has been the same for 100 years, let's say, right? County does something, lower the speed, and they're saying, what evidence do you have to lower it? So just FYI for you guys, just cover yourself, date it, sign it, just, okay? That's, so I don't know if you ran into anything yet. Correct.
But you just have to have some data why you're doing it. I mean, it doesn't.
Well, the way, if you read the stuff, there's really nothing really that pertains to you actually doing something.
Right.
So, but we're saying now, because of this stuff, just cover yourself.
We have done.
Sure. So, that's one of the things. The next thing is regarding crosswalks and curb ramps. We
If
just
I could
had,
interrupt just for a second,
Yeah.
I got something to add to that. If you need a way to document and come up with that data that he's talking about, the town of Hayward has a speed trailer. We can set it up in different areas, and what it does is it records data. It'll record speeds, times a day, averages, and that sort of thing. And then we can put that data onto an actual spreadsheet, so you have statistics that you can present.
You could actually use that right now on County Road E North. That's a
Okay.
very, contentious project right now, so.
Okay. I mean, if it's something that you're interested in utilizing, if you send an email over to me at the town of Hayward,
Okay.
I can probably get that arranged for you. We can get that set up out there. If you're looking for a period of time, typically when I do it, because we've had a few complaints of speeding in the township, and I'll set it up in different roads, and I'll usually leave it out for a week at a time, and then we can get that data.
Now, would his speed trailer and that justify a speed study, or probably not? For lowering the speed limit?
oh, his,
Yeah, would his.
oh, for sure.
Yeah, because what it'll do.
It's the same, basically, it's the same thing that I have. I don't know, can you calculate length? Does it give you length of the vehicle so you actually know if it's semis versus cars?
No, it doesn't. What
No,
it
but
does is
still.
it counts vehicles.
Yeah.
It can only do one direction. So if you
Okay.
want to do both directions, we have to set it up twice.
Okay, so that's,
Different
so
ways,
for
so.
sure, if you're gonna do that, make sure it gets set up twice, so you have both directions covered.
It's 55 miles an hour statutory. We got it. All the residents, we're reconstructing that road right now. We want to reduce the speed limit. Without the speed study, we can't reduce it to 45 of the.
Sure.
Advisories.
Yeah, it works out great because it'll give you.
If you get something done.
It'll give you a traffic count.
Yeah.
It gives you all the speeds that it picks up. It'll give you an average. It'll give you, I'd have to look at the spreadsheet. I haven't looked at one in a while, but it gives you multiple different things that you can utilize for statistical purposes. And I've presented them at the town board when we've had some issues on Chippewa Trail where they wanted speeds reduced and that sort of thing. So works out pretty good.
So for us, something to think about is, I set mine up on Mondays, let it run through the entire week. Normally for us, we look at, Tuesday through Thursday, just as a typical work day. Some municipalities, counties will call and say, well, you got to track it on the weekend. Well, that's not normal traffic. But still but then you can break it down to the people and show them because, they're kind of naive about it based on, if it's a work day, weekend and so forth. So, one thing is we had an incident, up north too, that, there was a request that came in for a speed study. This wasn't my road, but I was dealing with the highway commission on it and, they wanted to lower it. And it was 55 and he was receiving pressure. So he said, fine, I'm gonna throw my equipment out there. Well, the average speed was 62. The highest speed was 77. And it was continuous. It was crazy, he said. So then obviously he took all this data and he said, here it is, and then just proved his point. And we all know what speeds people are going at. It's nuts. So, but anyways,
I think it is good that you bring that up because we can learn from other experiences in other areas, counties and otherwise. And the day's coming where we're gonna deal with those issues as well, and there's two sides to every story.
Yeah.
And people are not afraid to challenge the other side anymore, like it's
1000%.
changed.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
has been. Yeah, it
Yeah.
has been changing for sure. And I get phone call and again, I view us, we're all a team, right? We want the one best thing that's out there is the safety and, you know, just, it's nothing against you guys, nothing against me. We just want, you know, so.
And we want you to know that we appreciate reaching out to us.
Yeah.
If we can help you,
Yeah.
we're happy to do that.
Perfect. Thank you. So anyways, the next topic is crosswalks and crosswalk permits. Okay, we had one of the incidences where, a township redid a road and they were asking for permits, to cross the highway. Okay, so one of the reasons, and I'm sure I brought this up before, one of the reasons why to do a crosswalk permit across one of our highways, it takes the responsibility off of you guys and it puts it on us. So if you fill out that permit, it crosses a state highway, someone gets hit, it's on us. Now, if you were to go through, you have a project coming through, okay, you don't reach out to us, you put your pavement markings down for a crosswalk, someone gets hit, it's not gonna probably end up well for you guys. Not saying we have deep pockets, but I'm just saying that's just one of those things, okay? So we have an incident that they put in some curb ramps, they didn't put them in correctly and put in the paint markings and we're trying to redo it. So just do your due diligence, contact me, look at the specific curb ramps, what direction everything's going, look at the utilities, if we have utilities in the way, if you have utilities in the way, prior to construction, see if they can get moved, okay? We're gonna make this one work, but it's challenging and difficult, so.
Dealing with the same thing, our County D project, 4-lane project that we're redoing next year, crosswalk.
You may want to push your, we are recording now.
Oh,
So it is for public to be able to review later.
Yeah.
okay. So yeah, we got the same issue as what you're talking about. There was a crosswalk that was put in on County Road B by the lumberjack place.
Yep.
Illegally. So that crosswalk, when we redo B next year, we're actually moving it down to the next road, which isn't far, but it'll all be in legal. It's within, so everything will be taken care of legally now, so.
So, yep, so that's one thing, just kind of pay attention to. Again, I'm here for you. Just reach out to me. We can work together on it. Okay, go from there. The last thing too is, I brought it up to Dan before and I'm inexperienced at this, so I don't know. But anyways, so we had an accident where it was a rear end of a vehicle. It was a tractor. And what happened is the person behind the tractor rear-ended it, spun around, so forth, and someone died. But it was determined that the cruise was still set at 65. So for me, how do you determine that? Like Dan just said, it could be a black box. So like if you were on, and again, I have no idea. Okay, so if you come up to this accident, you can see a tractor's all damaged, there was whatever, what would click for you or what would determine you, or do you got to hook up something to determine, I want to find out the black box and what information is on there?
Oh, I think Sergeant with reconstruction and their knowledge has much more expertise on that than,
Yeah, our reconstructions, they're able to, we have, I think, 3 or 4 in the area that can do EDR downloads of vehicles if they're able to.
Okay,
So
So then-
all the computer information, how, you know, at what speed do they initially brake? Did they not brake at all?
okay.
What was the speed at impact? All that stuff.
Okay, so then when initial crash report is filed, there would be something missing and then you would have something further down the line then with adding information to it saying this is what we think happened or whatever?
Correct. It wouldn't
Okay,
be in the initial
yeah.
crash report. It'd be
Yeah.
in the,
Okay,
whichever report that the reconstructionist submits.
okay,
So it would be available once they get all that
Yeah.
info.
okay. Yeah, I think that was it for that. We don't have anything for 2025 construction projects for our state highway stuff. Otherwise, do you have any other questions for me? So that's all I have. Sorry for being long-winded, but.
no, we appreciate it. I think it's good to talk about common process as well on some of that. And, you know, it refreshes our memories as well as we learn new things and try to keep things in order.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dan, anything additional?
I've got nothing else.
Thanks, and thanks for bringing that up on the map. Anything else from the state? Welcome to your new job. Wish you the best and we appreciate you. Yes. Tim?
Nothing further, no, sir.
Okay. Nothing else on the agenda? Sergeant?
Just one thing I forgot to add, still working on, hopefully, a request was sent in, just never anything back yet, working on a follow-up. Hopefully trying to get an air zone in on 63. There's 3 different locations that I put in for, between Larson and Pfeiffer Road, between Nelson Lake and Stone Road, and then, or Timberlawn Road and, Stress Road or Kruger Road, to hopefully get some air zones in there for some speed details. So
Okay.
hopefully those get through. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
No. Hopefully, because we wouldn't utilize until the summer. Anyways, yeah.
Thank you. Anything else? Anybody miss anything? Confirmation of our next meeting? Should be February, and I believe that falls on the week just before Berkey.
February 9th.
Yep. And that will be the week of Berkey function, so we can meet here at 9 o'clock and have further details about Berkey as well. February 19th it'll be, and we'll see you in February with that. Nothing else on the agenda. We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.